Yeah, let it run a minute. Welcome back to Nerd Thug Radio. I'm the Captain Joey Savage.
Corey DLG.
I'm Cole Baldridge.
You're listening to us on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
Sister stations.
Worldwide at
IRLoneStar.com.
You know, when you were out last week with your gas issues,
Yes.
he did a great fill-in for the...
I know, I heard. I was real proud of you
yeah,
guys.
I didn't know if it was going to be him or Angry Zach picking it up, and Colt just stepped right in. He said, I'll play. And
Jumped in. Look at that.
He just jumped right in there, man.
He's a gamer.
He's a go-getter. We are halfway through this week's show, which means we are at the weekly top 3. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
It's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down. Listen to Joey do his thing now. He beatbox. He loves it. He has a good time, and we're just rocking with it. This week we're doing old man movies. Jackie Chan's coming back with The Foreigner, you see. So now we're going to go ahead and name some things off, and now that Colt's here, he's the worst off, so he goes first, and we give him number 3.
Man, I love when we beatbox and freestyle. It is my favorite part of the entire show. Because none of it's scripted.
We never.
and
You
you're
act
just
like we're
freestyling.
script. We don't script anything.
We script
I'm so
everything.
happy that I can freestyle without cursing.
Yes.
Because in the car I can't.
No, you cannot. So, Corey, go ahead, and this is the weekly top 3. I wasn't really excited
I know you
about.
didn't like it, but I was like, how do you?
And I like old men.
I know this is the thing that's weird
I don't
about.
know.
Well, you want to stand by that? You don't want to?
No, yeah, I mean, I love listening and talking to old men, like
Okay.
listening to their
All right.
stories, listening to their wisdom. Been doing it since I was a kid. Like when my first job was at Randall's, and I only wanted to work the morning shift so I could hang out with all the old guys and pick their brains and stuff.
You are a weird cat about stuff like that.
Man, I love I love history.
That's
and hear them
true.
talking about
That's
the old
true.
times is great.
So The Foreigner is coming out here, and it's got Jackie Chan in it.
Right, he's old.
He's old at this point.
Real old.
And like he's so old that it's been so long since you've seen him that the previews for this have been like the return of the legendary Jackie Chan.
And
like,
Pierce Brosnan, right?
Right, Pierce Brosnan, I think
Another
is the
old
bad
guy.
guy. Right,
Yeah,
the bad-
he is.
And so, like, all of the older male actors have all kind of had, here recently, Antonio Banderas was recently in a movie where he's like a security guard who's like ex-CIA and he has to help save a little girl from the mob.
Well, that's a Denzel Washington movie?
That was The Equalizer as well. So, like, there's all these old man movies that are all like, okay, old man gets one last crack at saving.
One last hurrah.
Bruce Willis is they're currently doing a remake
Another one?
of the Bronson.
I don't know.
What was the guy's name? Bronson. It doesn't matter
cares?
anyway. But anyway, Death Wish. And
whatever.
so it's a remake of an old.
When they remake Waterworld with Kevin Costner, you let me know. They could remake that and use. You know who they could use?
Who?
Not Chris Hemsworth, but the other one.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Les Hemsworthy.
Yeah,
Les
the one that's with Miley Cyrus.
Les
That one.
Hemsworthy. That's his name.
That'd be great.
I would volunteer. We secretly filmed a pilot over the weekend, so I'm now a director.
I know, right?
I would make
a
that
doctor.
my directorial debut.
I'm a doctor.
Big screen
Doctor.
Waterworld remake.
Yeah.
I would do that.
Be on the lookout for that coming soon.
I would totally do that.
Not the Waterworld, but what we filmed over the weekend.
Oh, that's true.
Which
yeah,
is
that.
very G-rated.
Yeah.
No, we didn't film anything crazy.
I mean, we did.
We tried.
We,
but
you know,
we got shut down.
Yeah, we didn't
So
have enough
this
money
week,
for that.
the weekly top 3
Is
is
in honor of all these old people. We're now naming our favorite old man action movies.
Okay, so Colt Baldridge, the Padawan hipster, go first.
All right, so my number 3 is 2009 Taken, starring Liam Neeson.
Oh, man.
That's a fantastic.
He's the worst dad ever.
It spawned a bunch
He's
of
the worst dad ever. First of all, he is a very irresponsible father and not a very good ex-husband because she gets taken in the second or the third
I
one.
don't know.
And then she gets murdered in one of them also, the wife.
yeah.
The ex-wife.
Stay
Is
away
that the
from
third
him.
one or is that the second one?
The story was Liam Neeson wouldn't do part 3 if the daughter was taken because he was like, at that point, it's just bad parenting. So they just made it a crappy fugitive clone.
My favorite Liam Neeson movie is Gangs of New York, by the way.
Really?
Yeah,
I got a friend of mine that says it's really good.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
Anyway-
he's the friend of yours that says it's really
Any way I
good.
can get that movie into a top 3, that is my equivalent to Nico's Rick and Morty.
Right.
But it's
Correct.
not in my top 3 this week.
Top 3 Scorsese movies.
No, yeah, I can get that in there too. Number 1.
See,
Boom,
and I don't
nailed it.
even
Favorite
want
movie
to
with
talk about
Leonardo
that.
DiCaprio. Got him.
Right.
Daniel Day-Lewis in it. Cameron Diaz.
Favorite movies featuring New York.
Right.
Yeah.
Done. Historical movies. Awesome. Gang movies. Here. War movies. Done. Civil War movies. In there.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah.
Because they're taking the Irish guys off the boat and putting them in the uniforms. That's like the worst connection ever.
But
All
it's
right.
there.
All right.
But it's there.
Yeah, so
Best movie containing rabbits. That one wins.
What about Zootopia?
Nope, this is the Dead Rabbits. Boxing movies, I'd get that one in there too. Best movie featuring
the place.
Catholics, I'm in with Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
The Priest.
Yeah.
Priest of Allen. It's awesome.
So Taken is your number 3. Liam Neeson. This was sort of the resurgence of the tough old man franchise. Was
Did he
Taken
do
1
The Gray before or after that?
after?
He did
Okay.
it after.
He did a bunch because this kind of like jump started his career again because it was like he was a dead Jedi in
Qui-Gon
Yeah,
Jinn.
Qui-Gon
Qui-Gon
Jinn.
Jinn.
Ooh,
Yeah.
what a great
Jedi,
Jedi.
and then
I
from
don't
there,
remember him in anything before Star Wars 1.
No, he was in a lot of
List.
stuff, but he was always like the bad guy kind
Oh,
of.
was he?
When you start looking back, you're
Like
like,
in
hey,
Batman?
that's Liam Neeson.
He was in Batman.
Right, he was
The
Ra's
first
al
one.
Ghul. Well, Ra's al Ghul is also post Taken. All of these, like Taken, like restarted
No,
his
he did.
career.
That was pre-Taken.
Ra's al Ghul?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Batman Begins is 05.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was. Yeah, he was a good
you're
Ra's
right.
al Ghul too.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That movie was really good.
He was also Aslan.
Like if you went in, yeah, he was. If you go into that Batman movie like with no precondition of what Batman is,
Yes.
or who the League of Assassins are,
For sure.
and then you think Ra's al Ghul's a good guy the whole time,
You do.
and then he just flips the script.
You also think the Asian guy's Ra's al Ghul. That was a fun
Yeah.
trick.
Oh, great movie.
It's a fun trick.
All right, Corey, what's your number 3?
So my number 3, I've mentioned this movie one other time on the show. It's a pretty obscure movie though, and I'm blown away that more people haven't seen it. It's
Okay.
called Lockout, and it stars Guy Pearce, and it's pretty much the only time Guy Pearce is a
Pierce.
he's always a bit player in a movie. He's always like the third or fourth. Like if there's an action movie and there's 5 guys on the team, he's the 3rd to 5th guy. And regularly he'll be like the villain.
Yeah.
He's charismatic, so he can be the
Yeah, he
villain
can
in a
do it
movie. But in this movie, it's set a little bit more in the future. We've solved our jail problem by putting them in space and
Awesome.
cryo freezing them.
That's a great idea.
The president's daughter is on a humane mission. She wants to film the conditions. She doesn't think it's necessarily a great idea. She's up there on the space station when something goes wrong and the prisoners escape.
and he has to go save her.
There's no negotiating with terrorism.
Nope.
So the president can't do anything to save his daughter publicly. However, former Secret Service agent Snow, Guy Pearce, who is now like a rogue drunk, but he saved the president's life at one point, I think, is if I remember the hook right. So
The hook?
like the president, like, I trust Snow. Get me
I trust
Snow.
him.
So they send Snow into space to go save the day. And like it's him against an entire space station of
Right.
convicts. It's action, it's fun. He's got a lot of really good one-liners in it. It's
Guy Pearce.
It's very witty. Guy Pearce, like when you look him up, when you see the picture, you're like, oh yeah, he is in a lot of stuff. He's not quite the level of Bill Pullman,
Yeah,
but close.
right there.
Close.
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 Okay.
So that's my number 3, Lockout.
I guess
Pretty
I
obscure
should-
movie.
You've mentioned
You
it twice.
should check it out.
You've mentioned it twice. I suppose I should watch it.
You should check it. It was a good movie, and Maggie Grace actually isn't bad looking in it.
No, not at all. Whoever that is.
If that's an incentive to watch a movie.
Whoever that is.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens, featuring the old man Harrison Ford as the greatest Han Solo ever.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I feel like you're just trying to spite me here, but all right.
no. So you look at Han Solo, big part of the original trilogy.
Correct.
But when you look at Force Awakens, like if you really break it down,
He's not in it.
he is very key and pivotal in that movie.
Oh, I was going to say he's barely in it.
No, he's not. So you have the beginning part where Rey's trying to get off or whatever.
Right.
And then she gets off and bumps into Han Solo. And from that point forward, the basic rest of the movie is
Oh, yeah, he's in
focused
it. You're
upon
right.
him.
You're right.
And
him
then-
and his relationships.
Him and his relationships, that's what it's focused
Yeah,
on.
you're right.
He's-
That's fair.
You know, he's very old manish, and he is he's still kicking butt as Han Solo,
Right.
rolling around with Chewie. And then he does the whole franchise a solid and takes the death at the end of it.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert. But I mean, that's a big deal. You have a character like, so from the original 3, he's the first one to kick the bucket from the,
Right, from your 3 heroes.
so you got him and the Skywalkers, and he kicks the bucket, and it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the series,
For the remaining 2 movies.
for the remaining 2 movies.
I had an interesting conversation with someone the other day who is very upset that Landro Calrissian isn't returning to the fold. Because
Why?
Billy D's alive and well.
Yeah.
Because he's really one of the last relevant characters whose story hasn't been wrapped up somewhere.
No one cares.
And that's kind of how I felt. Like I was like, I get what you're saying because you're right. He is the last. He's the biggest name unaccounted for. And if you look at the history of Han Solo, he
Yeah.
is a pretty big deal.
But when you,
But
Here's the deal with
but
that,
the thing,
though.
the thing is, Billy D isn't that big of a deal.
well, here's Billy D. Billy D's not a big deal.
Billy D. Williams.
Here's the thing when you go with Lando, okay? We talked a little bit about this, me and Zach, last week. The Star Wars universe now is all canon Disney, entitled in the comics as well as the big screen.
Correct.
So you got a lot of the tie-up stories with Lando. He's got his own book out.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah, he had his own book, and all that stuff's tied in. And if you recall, before The Force Awakens, there was that big ordeal with some, I want to say a German like toy company released a puzzle or something, and it had Finn on it, but it had labeled him as Finn Calrissian. So you don't know if that'll come back to play around in these next two, or if that was just a typo because they were the only two African American characters in the entire series.
That's
so I don't know. I mean, it's Germany.
If they introduce a second black character, they make him related to the first in the entire galaxy.
Right, could be Germany.
Yeah,
right?
that doesn't.
But yeah,
doesn't bode well.
Lando, he had his own book. They tie a bunch of stuff up in there. Same thing with C-3PO and that stupid red arm.
Yeah, that's right. That story is
explained in the comic. Yeah, so I mean, what you don't know is that Han Solo had been married before, and you find that out in the comics.
I didn't know that.
Right, and so there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the comics that ties in a bunch of those backstories, getting you from, all the stuff from episodes 5, 6, and now 12.
And you know what else
7.
is going on? There's a lot of stuff going on in that I didn't realize was so relevant, but now they're hinting is the big deal. Is the Star Wars Rebels stuff?
Yeah,
that series apparently.
It's pretty good.
Apparently, that stuff ties in a lot of the
really
stuff.
good.
So I need to sit down and watch that.
Yeah. The bad thing about Rebels, though, not anything about the actual show, is that it's not on Netflix. It's not on Hulu. So, like, literally to get it, you've got to maybe Disney XD, or you've got to buy the DVDs at this point.
Yeah.
Might just wait till they start their own streaming service.
Can't wait a year and a half.
Yeah, and then I'll watch all of them. 'Cause they're on like season 4 now.
Yes. Season 4 is debuting this.
The first season
month.
was a little rough to get through because it didn't really tie a bunch into what was going on. But then as the show progressed, it really got
started connecting the dots. I like that because like the Clone Wars. The thing of it is, the Clone Wars did a lot after the fact. Like after it came out, people realized how much people love the Clone Wars, and that's why I think Rebels starts to tie stuff in.
Let's tie stuff out. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll get back into this weekly top 3 featuring Old Men and Nerd Thug Radio.